So this is the fourth and final part of a little series to help you with the number sequences question in the exam. And what they do sometimes in the exam is have something that clearly involves an arithmetic or a geometric or even a quadratic sequence of the type that we've seen in the first, second and third videos, which you should have watched first. But then they stick it in a fraction. So minus a sixth, minus an eighth, minus a tenth. So this video is all about how to approach that. So write down in words any patterns that you observe. Well, I could just write that the denominators of the fractions, or of, it's called p in this case, are increasing by 2 every time. So when it says write down something in words like that, that's exactly what you have to do. A sentence that makes sense in English and is not involving a whole load of algebraic terminology. Predict the next 4 terms in the sequence. So you can easily see how that's going, that the denominators are going 6, 8, 10, 12. So it's going to go minus a 14th, minus a 16th, minus an 18th, minus a 20th. So if we just think about the denominators, they're going up by 2 every time. So that gives you a bit of a clue that there's got to be something to do with 2n in it, because those denominators are going up by 2 every time the n is going up by 1. So let's just think about 2n. 2n is 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So we're getting numbers that are going up by 2 every time, just as the denominators are going up by 2 every time, but they're not the ones we want, because when we get a 2, the denominator is 6. When we get a 4, the denominator is 8. When we get a 6, the denominator is 10. So hopefully you can see that we need to add 4 to all of those. So 2n plus 4. And then we'd get numbers that are the same as the denominators of those fractions. So if 2n plus 4 gives us the denominators, but all of the terms we're trying to hit are minus 1 over those denominators, then the general rule just has to be minus 1 over that. So minus 1 over 2n plus 4 would give you minus a sixth, minus an eighth, minus a tenth, minus a 12th, minus a 12th, and so on. So the general rule is, well, actually, the next bit of the question is predict the next 4 terms. So I've actually done that in the table, haven't I? So C table. Right, so find a general rule connecting P and N. P equals minus 1 over 2n plus 4. So you could very well get something that involves a fraction. You could very well get something that's got separate things going on in the top and the bottom of the fraction, and then you've got to kind of figure them out separately. I think that did happen once on one exam paper, the one with the lowest ever grade boundaries. But on this occasion, minus 1 over 2n plus 4. So you've just kind of spot that there's, in this case, an arithmetic sequence, but it could be a geometric sequence or a quadratic sequence going on somewhere within it, somewhere within, in this case, the fraction. Okay, so testing and verifying is, as it always was, making sure that your rule works and matches the numbers in the table. Just tidy this up a bit. Okay, so, and as always, testing is doing it for the numbers at the bottom end of the table, where they've given you both the n and, in this case, the p. And verifying is checking that it still works for the values higher up the table. Okay, so for example, when n equals 4, so I'd go for one of the higher ones of the bottom end rather than 1 or 2. They don't always like it on the mark scheme if you do it for the very low ones for some reason. So when n equals 4, my rule says p equals minus 1 over 2n plus 4 equals minus 1 over 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 4 equals minus 1 over 12, and that matches the value in the table. So this matches the value in the table. So that's testing it, and then verifying it is doing it for the values where you filled in one of the blanks, checking your rule still works and matches a number that you filled in by observing a pattern, possibly before you figured out a general rule. So when n equals 7, for example, so I'm just going to change out all these 4s for 7s and then everything that follows them. So delete that and delete that and delete that. So when n equals 7, my rule says p equals minus 1 over 2n plus 4, which will be minus 1 over 2 times 7 is 14. So minus 1 over 14 plus 4, which would be minus 1 over 18. And that matches the value in the table. This matches the value in the table, and hopefully we've picked up lots of marks fairly quickly there.